Queens and Crystal Things, the podcast where we are on some manifest your life, shift your mind, and raise the consciousness type of shits.
Hey.
Man, I hope you guys are ready. I'm Christy.
And I am Mia. And you all can consider us your spiritual girlfriend. Hey, y'all.
Hey, now.
Okay, so our last episode, you guys, we talked about creating your life by speaking it into existence. Mm-hmm. The way you speak, the way you talk. Hopefully you guys listened to it. You liked the episode. And honestly, for me, Christy, I think it was just such a great reminder of how much we are the creators of our lives. And how just in our every, it's not just ritual time that we're creating our lives. It's in our everyday and waking moments when we have the power, we are empowered to create our lives. And I mean, honestly, the way you speak to yourself and about yourself is everything. So remember, if everything is energy, the words we speak carry a frequency that can literally manifest things into the physical. So, be mindful of your words, you guys.
Yeah, that was a good episode. There's not one episode that I don't like, but that was good. Okay.
So what are we talking about?
Okay, so today, this is a topic that came about when I was having a conversation with a client. And basically, I was just led to ask her, so what's in your spiritual toolkit? And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, like a toolkit. When you have a toolkit, it's usually if something needs to be repaired or fixed or mended or whatever the case may be, you have access to this thing, that you have resources that you pull from to fix it. And so I was like, okay, your spiritual...
Like your makeup bag, ladies.
Right.
Your spiritual makeup bag. Like, I like toolkit though, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's like, we need to have access to something whenever we need some assistance or need that just extra... What do you have? Like, what do you have access to? So that's what we're going to talk about. Your spiritual tool.
So one thing I was...
Toolkit, toolbox, whatever.
I like... When Christy brought this up, said, hey, we should talk about this. The reason I got excited is because I needed to be reminded of the things that I have in the toolkit. We've talked about this before. This time is just... It's a little rough in terms of things that are being presented. Heck, y'all, I had kitchens, the this is today. The plumbing back up, and then...
Just the morning.
Plumbing back up in the house, and then the, I told Christy, my car looked like, I said to Jade, I said, well, the car got in a fight, and baby got dragged. I wasn't even in the car. No. Big old truck just knocked. I'm talking about my poor little booty boo. She got her butt beat. And this was all before 10 a.m. So, so I was reminded. So when you said this, Christy, I was like, man, these are some trying times. So being reminded of what I have available to me and move through this journey.
Exactly.
And, take accountability for how I respond to things, my own actions. It's important to be reminded.
Yes.
And if you don't know, to know emphatically that you have tools accessible to you at all times to help you move through little situations.
Exactly. And that's what the purpose, like for me, this is what was the purpose of the episode. Mm-hmm. Because life is going to continue to life. We're going to
life.
Right. Like we are going to continue to hit challenges or obstacles, but as you are moving through this journey, like this spiritual journey, you start to realize, okay, well, the way that I used to think is different, so that means the way that I approach things or my perspective is different. So when something comes up, I now have resources that can help me through it, so that it's not as bad.
And the thing that I like about it is it's something that you have control over, because we talk about there are healing modalities. You can go to a sound therapy class. You can get Reiki, get a reading to kind of help you move through moments. But when you are in a moment, when life is lifing, I need to handle this right at this moment. And or maybe I don't. People should. We always talk about this. people need to be able, or should be able to, the hope you are equipped to be able to heal yourself, to move through things. There are tools that, you have access to.
Yeah. And honestly, just a reminder that a person's spiritual toolkit or toolbox, whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure which episode or how it will be named just yet, but everyone is going to be different. So what's in Mia's spiritual toolbox may be different from mine, but you eventually, just through trial and error and kind of just becoming this spiritual scientist, that's when you start to figure out, okay, this is what works for me, and this is what doesn't work for me, or this is what resonates for me.
You know what? I like that, Christy. When you said spiritual scientist, because when I think there is a certain connotation when people think about science that they believe it's, there's rigor to it, so it makes it a little more real for people when we're talking about some what we would consider abstract concepts. So I like the idea of becoming a scientist for your own life. A spiritual scientist for you. So what is your hypothesis? Right. The reason I like that is because, what is it that you are researching or experimenting and learning more about? Your main experiment should be you. So becoming a scientist for your own life, I like that.
Yeah, and then I also feel like that perspective causes you to be more present, because you have to come from a place of being, from observing. Because in order to figure out like what works and what doesn't work, you have to really be present and observe. Yeah. And so that's why spiritual scientists just kind of clicked for me, because to me it makes sense. Because a lot of this stuff is like, okay, well, does this work for me? How does it make me feel? Is it doing what it needs to do? And if not, then I need to let it go and let me go to the next. So, but anyway, that's what I was thinking as far as this episode. So, okay, so for today, you had a morning. So, what helps you, or anything from your spiritual toolbox?
I would I don't think necessarily from the toolbox, but we can get into that. But I will say I'm at a place where, because of my toolbox, that something like this is, I'm just like, it is what it is. Right. So the only thing that I can control is my response, and what type of energy I put into it. How it feels to me is all up to me. I can't do anything about that big old truck knocking my little baby out. My baby got dragged, y'all. Like, it's not cute. Like, she got her butt beat. Like, that truck had hands. She wasn't ready. But because I have used my spiritual toolkit, I've built up, it's like, which are the cells that fight disease? Your white blood cells? My spiritual white blood cells are strong. So any disease that tries to come over, that, and take over my body and have me respond in a way that is not from my highest self, my spiritual toolkit has prepared me for. It's like, damn, that's okay. Guess this is what we doing. I think I posted. I said, all right, so I'm about to reset my day. I need some tea and a nap, because but that's pause. All of that is me. Is within my control. I can't control
right, and that's so
none
true.
Of that.
Yeah, it's so true.
Things happen,
and then you getting angry, or you getting upset, or you trying to retaliate. What exactly does that do anyway? It raises your high blood pressure for no reason. And like, what's going to come out of it?
I think about times when I would allow myself to, it was just normal. That's how you respond. Somebody does something and they make you mad. I'm going to respond and
like, you're deserving of this.
Right. You did this. I didn't do this. And I totally, definitely understand that. But what I understand the mentality, because I remember, it's not like I don't remember feeling like this. And I feel so much more empowered not responding in the way that somebody wants me to, is because you don't control me.
Right. I control my emotions.
Just because you acting a booty, I'm not going to act a booty, because I'm not a fucking booty. Period. And now I look at it like, if I respond in a way that somebody's trying to feed me to respond, that means that I'm allowing them to determine who I am. They are saying what Mia is instead of me saying what I am. You know, we talk about that I am, you guys. So, yeah. Just seriously, develop that spiritual toolkit. So, what are some let's talk about specifically kind of like some different some tangible elements you can have in your toolkit, you know. So I think both of us probably as we were starting to develop our toolkit, one of the beginning things was tarot and oracle cards.
Yeah. And
specifically oracle I think was probably first for me before I started playing with the tarot.
Yeah, oracle for me. But it's interesting because I still use them on occasion. Probably not as often because I used to do like a card pull every day. But now it's just like every so often. But I think initially it was because I needed some validation on things that I was thinking or feeling.
Thank you.
But as I've grown or as things have evolved,
you just trust yourself more.
Right.
So, I actually really like oracle cards still.
Yeah.
I use them with clients sometimes, and with the oracle cards, I may it's kind of like one of those ending notes type of things. And to me, what I use the oracle cards for now with clients is it always is just a confirmation of everything we've talked about. It's like, there, you know what I mean? Because oracle cards will give you a word and a little bit of an explanation. The other reason, so I would say having oracle cards, and I'm going to say oracle, and I'm going to do a differentiation between tarot and oracle because there's a little bit of different. As you are beginning, and really just, I'm trying to kind of feel what I'm feeling. Do I, and starting to build up that self-trust.
Right.
Oracle cards are a very easy way to kind of say, because remember, everything's energy. So as you're picking them, it's picking up your energy, you guys.
Really is.
So you're like, dang, I am, feeling this, or maybe this is what I need, depending on what type of oracle card it is, the oracle cards that you're working with.
Yeah. So
I think it's very helpful to help you learn your own spiritual language.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like I
fully agree.
And in there, I have, oh my goodness, I have some dope ones.
They always seem to be very on point. What's the one that we
used to man, one of those,
was
man,
it the
that
Star
deck
Seed?
had that Starseed Oracle deck had us in a chokehold.
Yeah. I still use it on occasion.
I love it.
But the decks,
they're beautiful.
And I feel like the words are just, it's like, this is exactly what I was feeling.
So I would say in your spiritual toolkit, the reason that I like the oracle cards, I would recommend them as you're building your toolkit is, someone has divined this book that goes with each of the cards. So when you pick the cards, you get an explanation. Then there's kind of, depending on what the deck is, they may have, hey, meditate on this thought. How does this feel for you? Or do, kind of give you suggestions to help you move through or claim what's coming or heal whatever it is that's happening. And I honestly think that it helps people learn how to do these things on themselves. Like oracle cards are dope because if you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And this is a great way to introduce yourself to, and I'm telling you what will happen. If you're going through something, you're stuck in something, you'll do a pull, and you're like, why do I keep getting these first three cards? Why these same three cards? Same three. I mean, I'm sure there are probably some cards and decks that when I've played with it, I probably still haven't pulled certain cards for me just because that's not where I was energetically. Yeah. So I like the oracle cards. Yeah. I think it's a great way. I mean,
I do too.
Yeah.
And I feel like they also kind of, like as you evolve, I feel like the readings evolve with you too. Like
Absolutely. And also, most oracle cards, actually all of the cards have some visual aspect to them. So as you grow in understanding what different colors mean, what numbers mean, what placements mean, if you see a certain elements in a card, what that means, different symbols, you start to really like truly get even a deeper understanding of where you are and what to look at and how to pay attention to yourself. Mm-hmm. Because if you see it in these cards and you're learning like, oh, the water behind them, this means that, you're sailing towards something because the current's going this way. So I'm moving towards that way and my back is to the present. You know what I mean? Like there's things that, and then as you learn more, you start to understand what the actual visual image on the card means. And what starts to happen is when you are in a moment in this 3D world, you start to see all the meaning and symbology that is around you. You're like, oh, wait a minute. As it's happening. Like, no, I understand what this means. Like, so, okay. Because, we are this world. We're always speaking to ourselves in some way, shape, or form. There could be 20 of us right now, and we could all walk into the same room. I guarantee you, if you ask people, everyone what they saw, what was the first thing they saw, or how they felt, or what is their impression of the place. Somebody might say, oh yeah, I saw 5 people might say they saw the same thing, but if you go a little bit deeper as to why they were attracted to that, their answers will be different. So I think that's dope though. Yeah. Now with the tarot real quick, with tarot, there are no words on those cards, so there's it's just a learning of what the different cards means. Like so there's 4 different suites in a card, just like y'all, it's like a deck of cards, 4 different suites, and you understand that when you pull fire cards, that literally that element is coming into play, and then it helps you to learn the different meanings of numbers, because you have what is a 1, what is 2, there's balance, what is 3, we talk about creation, what I mean. So and then 5 is always conflict because it's transition, it's change. So then when it helps you to learn what different numbers mean and what the different elements mean. So when you start to learn that, you start learning tarot more. You don't have to kind of look up what the cards mean, because you can. I know what this element stands for, what the message of this is when I couple it with this number. And then it does have, if you look at the classic Rider-Waite deck, these are all different versions of tarot. I love the Rider-Waite deck, I really do.
That's like the popular one.
It's full of symbols. I mean, oh my god, I'm still, when I look at it, I'm like, man, I never noticed that. Like, wait, he got a purple little thing in his pocket. That means something because somebody created it. So everything means something. So I still rock with tarot. Like, I like my tarot cards. Sometimes I'm just sitting there shuffling them just, while I'm reading or something. Yeah. I like the tarot. So what's another one, Christy?
So another one is a pendulum. And I think it's interesting because I don't use the pendulum as much as I used to initially. But I think a pendulum is a really good resource to use, like especially if you just want, like confirmation on something, or if you need to get an answer on something, and maybe you feel like but you might be emotionally too invested, so you may not get like a true answer, so you go to the pendulum to kind of just ask. I like to use it as a plan. Okay, let me just confirm.
The pendulum was one of my favorites. It is still one of my favorites. I will use it in a lot of energy healings because so a pendulum, if you guys don't know, it's basically think of a long string with a crystal at the bottom of it.
Different shapes.
And it moves. So remember, everything is energy. If you hold a pendulum in hand, it'll start moving around in a circle, right? So the reason I like the pendulum in healing and the healing services is because the pendulum moves in the direction that your chakras are supposed to be moving. So if I'm working on somebody and I'm like, what's going on here? I can feel something in the chakra. I pull up that pendulum. If it's not moving, that in the beginning, I'm like, oh, it's blocked. If it's going backwards, you know what I mean? Like, it would tell me something about this person's energy. So I still use it for locating things. If I lose things, the pendulum is a dope ass tool.
You can use it for a lot of things.
Like
stuff. There are times where I would
you can tell it whatever you want.
Like, okay, what crystal do I need for today?
Yeah.
It'll be like nothing for one.
Yep.
It'll be like, I don't know about for. But then when it's the crystal for you, yes, this is the one for you.
I even like. I will. I mean, you can use what they call it? Damn it, a pendulum chart. You know the thing you can like a
little board.
Yes, you can create your own. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm looking for something in my house, I'll draw the layout of my house, and I'm going through with my pendulum, and it like from room to room on the drawing. I'm like no. That's how I'm like not playing. That's how I found things. Is it in the house? Nope. Like you know what I mean. That's how I know. I told you my card is gone because I asked the pendulum. I'm like, oh, that baby's gone. But the card, I lost my debit card, you guys, again. Anyway, so, and I like it because your pendulum grows with you.
Yeah.
So,
and you start to build a relationship with it,
absolutely. Too. And so let's think about this. Pendulum is energy. This is where it got interesting for me when I learned, because sometimes, it'll be a little wonky and going all type of ways. You're like, wait a minute. And so you got to think, you guys, it's energy. So that means there's an energy exchange. When I learned to think about my pendulum as a being, sometimes that's why we name things to give it a persona. When I think about when I started thinking about the pendulum as a being,
this was interesting.
I started asking it what it needed. So when I said creating a relationship, so it's like, wait a minute. Do they eat? Do they need what type of energy? So I started asking them what type of elements would be with what they want. And when I tell you, this is probably going to sound really crazy to some people, but one of my pendulums, she like a little weed smoke blowing on her. It's like cleanser. Some of them like to be dipped in water, in clear quartz water or amethyst water. One of them I bury in my plants. She likes to be connected to earth. So that's how I started building a relationship with the pendulum. I started with the elements. So it's just like, I actually started with, what do they need? Mm-hmm. Because you're acting kind of wonky. Do you need something? Right. Yes. And it's showing me yes. Oh, okay. Are you hungry? Like you're like, what would I ask a crystal, right? Are you hungry? Pendulum's moving. Yes. Shit, what the hell does a crystal? So I'm thinking, it's not like it's going to ingest food, so it really makes you start thinking. It's like, okay, this is energy. Just keep thinking this is energy. The elements and energy work together. So maybe it's, are you thirsty? Do you like water? Do you require? So when I went through the elements, I'm like, the one I got stuck on for me, I couldn't figure out. I'm like, how do you do air? It's like, oh shoot, smoke. So yeah, I
so would you ask it? Do you want air?
Yes.
It would give you that. Okay.
And then I just couldn't figure out. So I asked, it took me a while to figure out. Half the bad you guys is asking the right question.
Right.
I couldn't figure out what. I'm like, okay, so do I fan you? You know what I mean? It took me a minute to try to kind of figure out, but for that, think about incense.
Right. Yeah.
The smoke from the from like a joint or whatever, something like that. So there is an energy exchange.
Yeah.
Now,
that's really interesting though.
And I almost feel like it kind of got to a point. It's like almost like it's a pet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to feed your pet.
And in order for you to feel that it's off, you definitely need to make sure you have a relationship with them.
So I would tell you, if you choose to use a pendulum, one of the way that I connected with it, clear your what do you call those things? Clear crystals with sage, or put it next to a
selenite.
Thank you. A selenite.
Palo Santo.
Clean the Palo Santo.
Could bury it, like you were saying.
Absolutely.
Run it with water.
And then you can charge it in a full moon, all type of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But once you clear of other people's energy, and you're making a connection with it. One of the we talk about crystals being in our bra. I would wear it. I would keep it with me at all times. I connect it to me inside my bra, just to kind of create that connection.
Remember when we went to North Carolina, and I guess where was it? There was a stream or water, and we brought our Super 7.
Yes,
I brought my Super 7.
Yes.
And we just sat it in the running water.
That was so dope. Oh.
It really was. And that will charge the crystals. But that was woo.
I think I actually bought a pendulum and cleaned one of my pendulums. Probably. And cleaned that off.
Yeah.
So it's a relationship.
It really is.
Now I will say that I got to a point where I had to check myself, because when I realized I know how to manipulate energy, I can manipulate what the pendulum is saying.
Yeah.
So
when you get to a point, maybe that
but it made me it showed me that I wasn't allowing, that I was trying to control, because I want to hear what I want to hear instead of allowing what it is to be what it is and take it from there. So it's all a lesson, right?
Right.
But I think that initially, when we talk about day to day, like what's in your spiritual toolkit, I can remember if, like, say my daughter wants to go someplace, I'm just like, I want to say yes, but should I be concerned about anything? And again, when I say these are early on conversations, I'm just keeping it funky with you, because these are the type of things I would ask. Now, I know that I can create this safety and protection for my daughter. But if I was nervous or thinking about, you know what I mean, it gave me because sometimes, sometimes you're thinking, like, am I tweaking to be thinking this, or, I feel something, and you want somebody else to talk to. Sometimes it's easier when we talk things out or hear ourselves say something. It helps us to get a better understanding of what it is that we're going through. That's why we said speak it into existence. There's something to the vibration and the sound that is created when you are speaking something, that it comes across. It's spice. It's that seasoning, you guys.
Yeah.
So when you ask the question out loud to your pendulum, after and there is something to it. It's like that vibration isn't real. I just made that up. Or it's like, no, it's something to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this validation to kind of help you learn yourself a little bit more.
Learn and trust yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing, like the trusting piece.
Yes, Christy. Yeah, the trusting piece. Absolutely. Because there's something that you grow.
Right. It's absolutely. Like, okay, well, this is what I'm feeling. All right, well, let me just double check with the pendulum. And then the pendulum confirms. And it's like, oh, okay.
And they're pretty.
I love pendulums. And honestly, you can ask it anything. I mean, there are times where I want to get upset about something, and I'll go in my little back room and ask the pendulum, okay.
I can't tell you how many times Jay's walked in my room.
Do I need to be upset?
My pendulum? And she just look, she talking to
I'm like, do I need to be upset about this? Or is this going to be a problem? Or do I need to worry? And usually they'll tell me, I'm like, okay, all right. Put it up.
Disclaimer, you guys, I do not suggest that you use the pendulum as a means and a way to make all of your decisions.
Oh, yeah, no, please.
Because, I mean,
use wisdom, too.
I'm telling you guys, I have asked, you ask a question, you don't like the answer, so you ask again, then the answers keep changing. I remember I did that. I've done that a couple times. I remember I said, I asked, I don't know how I said it, but basically, like,
are you fucking with me?
Yes, like, the bitch was like, yes. Like, I asked, are you tired of me asking the same question? When I say that thing went, yes, like super fast. And that's the other thing, how fast it moves. I'm talking about, I have a pendulum. I taught Jay how to use a pendulum. I'll have a pendulum and just moving around. And sometimes when I want to see yes or no, I don't want it to come from moving. So I tell it, stop. It stops.
Yeah.
And because I want to see where you're going. Because you know how we'll be like, oh, wait, but it went yes first, and then it went
it's like, no, let me you're going to start from ground zero.
Right.
So I can see you.
See, yes.
Pendulums are kind of cool, though. It's interesting, because whenever I, like, use it in front of a client, they're like, oh, my gosh, how did you get it?
Like, you can do, these are, and
it's
again,
amazing.
We're talking about things that you can do, and also the other reason that I like the pendulum is it helps you to remember that you are energy.
Right.
That everything is energy. Because somebody will be like, oh my God, that's like magic. No, it's energy.
They use it out in the real world too. Like the military uses them. They use it for finding oil or water in the ground. Mm-hmm. They don't call it pendulums, but it's the same concept. It's the same concept. But you also know, I got the munchies now, so I'm got these chips.
Chrissy is really crunching me out here. That's Chrissy. That's not me.
Sorry, that's me. These tortilla chips are good. Bueno. Okay, so, we were talking about it before. Crystal, do you want some chips?
Yeah.
Crystals is another wonderful thing to have in your spiritual toolkit, just because, especially if you need to shift your energy, I think it's helpful to know what crystals are for what, or what crystals resonate best with you and how they work well with you, like really understanding that. Again, all of this is like building a relationship.
Now clearly we're a fan of crystals. So there's so many different types of crystals. So depending on the intention, the healing, the space, wherever you are, there is a crystal, at least one or several crystals that will help you to work with that. Mm-hmm. So to this day, I had a meeting with a potential client and for my normie business, and I wasn't feeling just kind of my best, so I put on not solidite, lapis. I put a lapis ring on because lapis is connected to you being able to communicate a little better. That's just think about, like, it's connected to your throat chakra. Mm-hmm. And it because we've talked about this before, but because crystals a crystal's frequency does not change. Mm-hmm. So they are always vibrating at the frequency that they are. We change, we fluctuate from moment to moment. The crystal does not. So this is why crystals are so dope, because you can pick one that is at the frequency where you need to be. Mm-hmm. And if you allow yourself energetically to connect with that crystal, now you are allowing that crystal to bring you to the frequency that you need to be at. Yep. So I needed to be at
thing that the crystal represents.
Right. So I needed to be at a frequency where I felt good, free, and confident in what it is that I was speaking about, and not allowing myself to fluctuate in my feelings or whatever was going on at that moment. I allowed myself to tap into the frequency of that crystal, and I was able to connect with that and ride that to do what I needed to do.
That is so cool.
So, you know what I mean? So that's why, y'all, crystals are so dope. I got them in all my plants.
I was working with lapis too when I had to speak. Yeah. For my meeting, I had a big lapis in my bra. It helps.
It definitely
does. It really does. So another item that you might want to consider is like journaling or a journal.
Y'all know y'all sick of me talking about that. You got to be sick of me talking about journaling. So, for those who have not heard, maybe you're just now joining the audience. But when I talk about journaling, I'm not talking about, today I, reiterating your schedule. What we're speaking about is you will have moments where you are talking about your feelings and what your reaction is and how something makes you feel and what it is that you see. And you have guys, this happens all the time. You see something, you're just like, that is interesting. You may have a thought that is clearly from your higher self, but we forget those. Oftentimes, for me, when I read my journals, I look at them and I'm like, this was definitely my higher self telling me, giving me some wisdom. But if I don't write it down, I don't remember it. Mm-hmm. So, there's journal prompts. I use it after meditation. I use it before meditation. Don't let me take a gummy and I get a thought. Mm-hmm. Honestly, just even in day to day, there's something about writing something that makes it, like we talk about what matter is. Mm-hmm. There's something about writing it that helps to make it real for you to either clear it or create it. It depends on what your intention is. I think that, and this is personal for me, I honestly think that my journaling is one of the most powerful things in my spiritual toolbox that has definitely helped me through this journey. Because not only does it help me to clear and create, it also allows me to see my growth.
Yep.
Agreed. Sometimes we're all, it is the human nature for us to always strive to be. We're always striving. That sometimes we don't allow ourselves, and we can't even see, I may not be where I want to be or what it is that I believe I'm striving to be, but I'm not where I was.
Exactly.
The journaling allows you to see your own growth. It's like if somebody came to you like, man, do you remember when you...
And I think that's important too.
And it's from your own words. Right. It's from your own perspective. Man, there is nothing like a glow up when you can see yourself and you have been able to chronicle your own spiritual glow up. Nobody else telling you who you are and what you've been through and blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And it's you being able to see that. And then I'm telling you, one of the other dopest things is when I go back and read something and I'm like, baby, you were on one. Like you knew. It's like that. And again, that helps you. That builds that intuition muscle.
Yeah. Like
it gets stronger. You. Like it totally. It's like, oh my goodness, I knew this then. And then it allows you to say, wait, I need to really start listening to myself. There's too many times where I'm looking back at something that I wrote so many months ago or last year, and I literally said what it is and how I feel. Now I have experienced and I learned, and it's like, but I already knew. Baby, what? Come on now. Stop playing with me. Stop. And again, this is about my favorite self-mastery. When you start to be able to experience, literally experience yourself, where you are compared to where you have been in your own words. You are the narrator of the story, not someone else telling you. There is something so powerful in knowing I have always known who the hell and what I am and what I need. I just wasn't listening to myself. But now that I know that I knew and I know what I know now, I'm definitely listening to myself. Yeah. Baby power. Upgrade. Pew!
Yep. And that's the thing. Like, once you really start listening, it's like you can't unhear it.
Yeah. Yep.
But, yeah, journaling is a really great
That's why we give journal prompts for our temple work sometimes. Because we really just, to provoke your thoughts. Yeah. About yourself. Like, this is about you. This is
and
about
naturally,
you.
Naturally, I don't use my journal, but I have gotten better at using it more consistently. But again, if it works for you, great. And if it doesn't,
absolutely, it's all about what works for you. And guys, you could. For me, I need to write, but I have clients who they speak they speak and just do the Otter app or the voice recorder app on your phone and it'll turn it into text. Okay. To me, I need, again, for everybody, it's something in the writing, and I can actually tell when I look at my journals that when I was before I knew I was channeling because it's a whole other handwriting. I mean, like, I've looked at some of this, I'm like, I can't even read that. And I'm like, oh, that's me talking. And I look at it, I'm like, oh, that is not me. So there's something to the allowing myself to just, writing allows me to allow. It's almost like I just, like, information come in and it's coming out. I feel like, so that works for me. For some people, they just have to kind of start speaking, and it relaxes them to the point where they're able to allow. and then it comes out a little bit better. Some people, they need to start creating something. It comes out in their art, in their paintings. And, they may not even know what it is that they're painting until they're done creating it, or they're graphic artists. There's whatever that methodology is, try it all in a rectory. We're just giving you options for what to have in your spiritual toolkit. Journaling for me has been extremely powerful.
Yeah. And I also, I liked the way that you put it, that it gave you time to allow. And honestly, I feel like anything in your spiritual toolkit or toolbox should just give you a space to just allow. Mm-hmm. But other things, and these might be other items that you either resonate with or not.
Again, just options.
But oils, you might want to use oils for your body. You might want to use oils for your candles, bath. Berries.
What do you use oils for?
So for me, certain scents, again, everything is energy. So certain scents carry a different energetic signature for me.
Absolutely.
Ooh. So if my energy is kind of a little sluggish, and I maybe want to have a little bit more vibrant energy, then I might have a little lemon, like on my wrists or on my temples, just to give me that little oomph. And that's for me. Like, that's how I use herbs. I like to use them as, scents to shift my mood.
I think so people can, both of us create oils, right? But when I was purchasing oils, like, I think I might have started with chakra oils. And to use them in baths. If you guys like taking ritual baths, or honestly just to allow yourself, because it is another way to use aromatherapy as well.
Right. With the spiritual component.
Intention oils. Yeah. So I think for Christmas, I made my my mom and my sister some oils, like, as part of their Christmas gift. So my mom, I know she's has some meetings coming up, and she just has a lot going on, and I know my mom, and I know what she needed some validation, something to pull from. She's just she's the main caretaker for my dad, so I know she needed something, but she will never ask. So I told my mom, I was like, look, trust me on this. Before you go in this meeting, put this on. Of course, I made it. It smelled absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'm a big smell. I love. So, I just told her, before you go in this meeting, put this on. So I needed her. She needed, I should say, to tap into that boss goddess vibe that she definitely is.
I love that.
When we talk about, like, intention oils, people create oils to match a certain intention. So I do some oils with different goddess energies, moon goddess. We might do one for love, and then you guys, the herb oils, you know what I mean, that you kind of create for healing, and like, it's all very real. And we're talking about, Chrissy, what's the one you gave? You got a headache. We're not, not speaking bad about any over-the-counter drug, because I do not care. Do what you do. Yeah. I prefer not to take. I just prefer not to. Yeah, now, if I'm in a situation in a bind, and I'm not about to just be in pain for kicks and giggles, but if I have what's in my spiritual toolkit, I have access to.
Now, see, before I
used to what's the one, Chrissy? She gave me one that.
Arnica?
Thank you. I was like, it was and it was in the oil, and I just rubbed it on my and again, it's something to it.
It really is, and I feel like this can be a whole other discussion, but which brings us into herbs, because just like crystals have oil, right? So just like crystals have their own energy, it's the same thing for herbs. Like, A lot of people may know garlic. You may think of like it builds your immune system. Ginger, it helps to ease your stomach. So there are all these things that are familiar to us generally.
For everything you take over the counter. Everything you go buy something for.
It mimics what happens naturally in nature, which is like, why don't you just... Anyway, so herbs can also be a part of your spiritual toolbox. It's unlimited. And items, you might have items for protection. That might be crystals or salts or sprays or whatever the case may be. You might want to work with sprays. Florida, do you work with Florida water?
Well, I'm not a fan of Florida water.
Okay.
I don't like the smell.
Okay. Yeah, me neither.
It's strong. But I know people who love it. Sage and Palo Santo.
Yeah.
Again, you guys, options. Sage is for clearing. And we always tell you guys, maybe it's time for a reminder. When you use sage, if you have sage in your home, your room, you're trying to get rid of an energy that's been in there, let's just say someone who is low vibrational, is not on a frequency that fits with who and what you know that yourself to be. And it's like that energy is stuck in your house. Open those windows, open the door, use your sage. And it will clear out that energy, right? I believe it's anytime I move into a new home, get I sage before I bring one thing in my. Before I put one, when I moved into my house, I did, baby. Honey, I was like, "Well, my neighbor's about to be mad because when I say that, I'm like, is she? What is she?" I sage that thing out before I put anything in of mine in the home, and as with everything, being intentional. Yeah. As I'm speaking, I'm saying, hey, whatever energy is here, thank you for occupying the space. Appreciate you. Bye. Like, our energies that I haven't invited in are not welcome, period. And you know what I mean? So, and again, someone low vibrational, you break up and it's like, why do I, like, how you break up with somebody and say you guys live together or they were always at the house and think about this. This is why when you break up with people, it's like, I need to get their stuff out. You get to that point, you're like, no, this stuff has to go. And people think you're being petty. It's like, I just don't want the energy in there. So those are tangible things that carry energy. So sometimes, even if you don't have those tangible items, the energy still exists. If you need that out, get you some sage. And these are things that you guys, you can get, these are things that are readily available to you. I would also say, the most, this is me as opinion, the most important thing I would say in the spiritual toolkit is a willingness. You can't, if you go into this journey blocked off, like, I'm only going to do this or I'm only going to feel, you're limiting yourself. So a willingness to accept whatever it is that you learn about yourself in the process. I can tell you for certain, there are things that if you would have asked me at the beginning of me just really committing to myself, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that though, because that's not my, keep living. And a willingness to learn and accept and understand that you are honestly, when I say self-mastery, that is a continuing journey, right? But there's always something else to learn.
Always.
There's always something else. So when you allow and surrender to the opportunity to grow and to expand and to be able to say, oh, that's not for me. But this is. This right here, like some people are like, I don't get crystals. I don't like them. Like, you don't force it on people. Like,
right,
okay,
you don't have to.
But they're like, hey, man, like, but these, but the pendulum, not, or the, the oracle cards, that's my thing. I like people love Florida water. They praise it.
I don't know about that.
People love Florida. Yeah, people really enjoy Florida water. Mirror magic, and we could really there's so many different methodologies of magic. There's elemental magic. There's mirror magic. Some people. Spirit guides. That's like your spiritual toolbox because you're never alone. They're always there. Some people talk to angels. Some people talk to luau. Some people talk to their orishas. Some people talk to their ancestors. All of these things that we are saying are things that are readily available to you and within you. The question is not what can I do for me. It's not what can I do for me. It's what am I willing to do for myself. Man, we would sacrifice and put ourselves on a line for everybody, for our friends and our family. And, we'll be the most loyal bitch that's ever walked 10 toes down for people. But we don't do that for ourselves. Yep. And then we would get so disappointed when we're having a moment and all these people that you've gotten up out the middle of the night to go over and hug them and be with them. And that's dope. And that is dope. Continues to be that person. But do you do that for yourself? Then you get upset when you're having that moment and nobody's leaving their house 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to come be next to you, just sit next to you. You have to be that for yourself. And we have to allow ourselves to do that. It's amazing to me that I didn't realize how difficult it was for me to be able to do that for myself. I just could, because I don't think I understood that I wasn't doing it. I was looking at it as a reciprocal relationship. I don't understand. I would do this for anybody. Why aren't they doing it for me? So I'm sitting here waiting with all these tools, with all of this sitting right in here, waiting for somebody to come help me, to come save me, to just be next to me. And then now I'm creating another reason to be upset because now I'm whatever it is that I was upset about and I wanted somebody to come in and be like, oh, I got you, I'm here. Now I get to be I've compounded another issue. Now I'm upset. Like nobody cares about me. And the whole time I'm sitting right here. Can you imagine my high self probably looking at me like, is this? Like, do you see me?
Does she see me?
Like I'm right here. So that's the other thing is you have you. Man, I don't even know how, like you have you.
Yeah. And just a quick reminder too, just going back to your comment about the guides and your spirit guides and angels and ancestors, that was actually a really good reminder to have in your spiritual toolbox. But just remember, I mean, they cannot intervene without your, without your willingness to accept their help.
They're just sitting there, y'all.
They need for you to say, all right, I need your
help. Put me in, coach.
Right. Otherwise, don't get upset if no one shows up because you haven't asked for help.
Oh! Man. I wonder how many people... No, seriously. I wonder how many people have allowed themselves to stay in a space that they don't actually want to be at because they're afraid to ask for help. And then ask for help with yourself. You guys, I don't know how to say this, but I'm just gonna say, like, you're the superhero. You're really the savior, y'all. Nobody is coming down from the sky to save you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I know that for some people, that's not what you necessarily want to hear. But allow me to not create a problem, but to tell you the solution. The superhero is already here. You are it. The only thing that you have to do to enact that superhero, that savior, as I'm air quoting you guys, is allow yourself to trust yourself, to be there for you. All the things that you do for all these other people, I can think of so many times. It's like, but I did that. Why wouldn't you return it? Like I did that for you. Why did I just be so disappointed? We have to stop worrying about what other people are doing and saying to us and get disappointed that they did not reciprocate. Or look, or that they're not a man or a woman of their word. But you said Are you a person of your word for yourself? When you commit to something for yourself, okay, you commit to something for yourself. Do you follow through? How many of you made some commitments to yourself that, hey, I'm gonna fast for 7 days. I'm going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. And when we don't do that, we don't follow through with the commitments that we made to ourselves, the energy that we're putting out is, I'm okay with you not being a person of your word, because that's what I do for me.
Right.
The way that you treat yourself is law.
Mm-hmm.
Is what will be reflected back to you.
Yeah. You're teaching other people how to treat you.
Without even saying a word. You may not even know, nobody can even know that, hey, you made a commitment to yourself, like, no meat. But when nobody's around, you're eating, what you told yourself you weren't going to eat. And nobody knows. Pigtails, you haven't told anybody. So you're like, oh my goodness, no one knows that. But energetically, before you open your mouth, energy speaks to energy. So the universe goes like, oh, they don't believe in committing to what they speak. So let's bring, that's what she likes. Like, again, remember, you guys, energy has no judgment. So if that's what you like, then let me bring some more of people who don't commit to what they're saying. Ooh, child, girl, bye. Honey.
That's crazy.
The commitments that we make to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, will dictate what it is that flows towards us. There is no judgment of whether or not it's good or bad. So understand. So, people get upset. It's like, I didn't ask for this man to do this to me. No, you might not have said, oh, I want a guy who's a cheater. But do you cheat yourself? Energetically, you did.
Yeah. So
when we say be careful and cognizant of what it is that you say and do to yourself, that's like a very real thing. And when we are having trouble trusting and leaning into that intuition, you have these tools, these tangible things here to tap into, to use, that allow you to be able to build that intuition muscle, that spiritual trust. Yeah. Learn your spiritual language. That's all I'm saying.
I like that. Learn your spiritual language, because I do feel like, it is a language, and for you to, it's almost like a math equation. Like, this is what I want. So in order for me to get this, then I need to have this plus this. You have to figure out, like, again, you are a spiritual scientist figuring this out, creating a space that was going to work for you to get you to where you want to be energetically, either spiritually connected, more connected, or just grounded, whatever is going to support you in that field. So,
all right, girl. What's your takeaway, Christy?
My takeaway is to not limit yourself. Be open to, again, I feel like I've said this a couple times in this episode, but be willing to be your own spiritual scientist.
I love that.
Play around and see what works, because there are some people that are so literal, and I am one of those people where it's like, okay, well, yeah, so a rose quartz and a fluorite is what I use for X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, well, those are the crystals I'm going to get. It's not. It may not be the same outcome, because it's gonna be something different for everyone. Like, this is your
trust yourself,
right? Like, this is your journey. You have to trust yourself, and what works for one person is not going to work for. That's the old paradigm. This is a completely new space. Like, all of those rules where there were rules don't exist here. I mean, of course, I would say a rule is to don't do any harm to yourself or anyone. But outside of that, man, this is like, it's time to explore. So, sorry, that was a long takeaway.
No,
but be your own spiritual scientist.
No, I'm on board with what you said. I would say, like, and this will go into what our message is really quickly. Like, our movement, our journey, the way that we see and experience this life. You guys, I'm sure everybody has probably heard the conversation about moving from 3D to 5D. All of that is in how it is that we perceive, experience, and experience this world through our own minds. So all of this, every episode, what we are getting to, what the goal, I should say, of where this energy is flowing, is for whoever is hearing this is activated to empower themselves to create the life that they want.
I love that, yes.
Activating, this is an activation for people to begin to listen to themselves so they can heal themselves. The more that we are dependent upon people to tell us who the hell we are, and what we need, like, when I think about this, seriously, how infantile our thinking has to be, where we actually got to the point as human beings. People tell us how many times you need to eat, how many times a day you need to eat, and what you should eat at each meal, and what percentage, because we stopped listening to our own selves. So this is an awakening to say, you know how to do this for you. But because we're so far away, hold on, we need a bridge. We need a little bit of help to start even beginning to feel that conversation and trust that to trust that it's you who has the answers for you. You have a spiritual toolbox. And these are the items within that kit. But ultimately, it is about you knowing and growing within yourself and being able to manipulate your energy, the energy around you, and attract and repel what it is that you want in your life. Like that's the big picture.
Yeah.
So then you start to that muscle gets bigger. You start to trust yourself more. And people talk about moving into 5D. It's not necessarily a physical movement. It is, when I say, a vibration at another level, and everybody that you like, it's literally like a veil. People living in 5D like are over here, like we're still, everybody's around each other, but it's like a secret party that you can get your invitation to, because it's a vibration.
Yeah.
It is a frequency. And when you are at a place where we allow ourselves to be controlled by what's happening outside of us, that's 3D. That's the journey. That's the part. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing.
That's the lesson.
You're learning how to move from a space where you're creating your life, and you're less and less dependent upon people outside of you to create you. And even it sounds crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that is honestly like the kind of the takeaway and the message is, this is all about remembering who and what it is that you are. And for me, I always say, to be able for me to walk this life as my divine self in this human body.
Yep.
Whew, that's a different experience. Meow. All right, y'all.
So I don't really have a crystal for this week, but I will say, get out to a crystal shop and just walk around, and
whatever you're attracted to.
Right, the first 3 crystals that you're attracted to, like that really feel good for you, that feel right, and get those.
And if you look up the meanings of them, you'll just laugh, like, that's exactly what I needed.
Right. And journal about it, like, write it out and see how you feel. And
all right, y'all.
All right.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening. You guys know the deal. Show us some love. If you, whatever platform you're on, leave us a review. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. You can email us.
Real quick, next week, you guys, we are doing an interview.
Oh, yeah.
With the Nesterian astrologer.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be interesting. I love talking to people and kind of hearing new modalities and understandings and philosophies and people's journeys. So we're going to be talking to. So this is not Western astrology. It's a different, I guess, lineage of astrology. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but
I think it's like the father of astrology. Like I think my understanding is that this is like the very first form of astrology. We'll find out.
We're gonna see what he says again from another person's perspective. I'm always open to it. So, all right, y'all.
Yep. Thank you guys, and follow us on our personal pages. You know where to find us. You can follow us on Two Queens Twistle Things. But thank you, light, peace, love,
and soul.
And soul. Bye, y'all.